Let us talk about factors that cause a broken home. Philip believes that he had made the worst mistake by getting married to Madison, who acts nonchalant most times. This time, she almost set the house on fire. Philip was already getting tired of her attitude, and instead of her being remorseful over her actions, she complained about his nagging and yelling habits and walked out on him. First thing first, no one was willing to take responsibility for their actions. This is where most marriages get it wrong. But is Madison really nonchalant? She knew that her husband wasn't happy with her, and all she could think about is herself by asking him money for her upkeep. As a man, leaving at that moment is the only option to avoid dramas. And a man who begins to avoid his women's drama may have left the marriage long ago without knowing. Philip opened up to Ken, who is his best friend and work colleague, that he wants a divorce. Although Ken is not happy with his decisions. And what do you expect from women who aren't busy? They usually have friends as company who keeps them busy and nothing more. Rose and Madison are best of friends. They hobnobbed and had quality gossip together. Ken was also in love. Lucy is his girlfriend. One thing most men don't know is that gifting women too often is the reason why most women dump them. He came so that he can take her out for dinner, but Lucy always comes up with excuses when it has to do with commitment. You shouldn't blame a man who is in love. Everything about her becomes perfect. At this point, you wouldn't know if she is manipulative or truly cares about you. The caring dude here wants to know what was bothering her until he was billed 1.3 million naira for an office space that she intends to get. This almost choked the living hell out of Ken, but he must prove to her that he is capable of taking care of her needs. What do you think? This is horrible, if I may say. Rose came back to find Lucy having an expensive biscuit she knows her friend cannot afford. Rose was inquisitive to know who might have fallen into her trap this time to afford such. Lucy has been playing games all this while with different men, including Ken. All her plans were to gather a lot of money from these men and leave the country. And back to the couple's mumbo-jumbo, Philip now stays up late at night, which is very common with men who never find peace in their house. The duty of every wife to first welcome her husband home and make him feel comfortable rather than questioning his arrival. Madison wasn't comfortable with the way things were going, only if she could just change her perspective. Madison needed advice on what to do about her marriage going astray. At this point, your marriage or relationship depends on the quality of friends you keep if you decide to wash your dirty linens outside. She was fortunate to have a good friend like Rose with good advice. Although Rose also has a relationship going on with Murphy, Rose possesses a prudent character. Their relationship is still at the early stage. She knows how important it is to give her heart to him, so she wants to take it a step at a time. The best of friends also spend leisure times together outside the workplace. Philip was also concerned about his friend's relationship with Lucy. He advised Ken to be patient with her, even though Lucy is making it difficult for him. This is what friendship should be about. They were talking when the door rang. It was Madison and her friend. It's been 3 years now since Ken saw Rose last after the couple's wedding. Ken finds Rose interesting and wants them to socialize more, which was fine by her. They later hung out and shared pleasant moments. They were honest enough to talk about their relationships. Ken was too ecstatic to show her his girlfriend to the world. This is what every responsible guy will do. And Rose attested that they are friends. They also talked about the couples and how they could help save their marriage. Talking about the couples, something happened the previous night. Madison came to the bed without having a night shower after the stress of the day. This sounds awkward, you know. Most ladies complain that their men nag a lot, but they fail to do the right thing. No man sees fire and is willing to put his head inside. But that does not mean he has to call her names. He just called her a pig while leaving the room, and she also retaliated with insults. So how do couples survive with this? Ken and Rose were still talking about their friends when they both had calls coming at the same time. It was Madison and Philip. Something terrible had happened. Ken had to go check up on his friend. Philip already had it to the brim and wants a divorce without looking back. On the flip side, Madison couldn't bear it any longer too, so she had to leave. Rose was the only person she could run to. Madison told her that she heard Philip's conversation on the phone when he told the person that he regrets getting married to her. They bantered words at each other, and for the first time, he threw a glass of wine at her. At this level of separation, chances of you winning back your relationship is 50-50 because the ball has left your court and now is inside the court of third parties. The good news here is the third parties here are intentional and are willing to make things work out for them again. Ken already got an idea of how they can go about it. But first, Rose, being an honest lady, has to sort out things and has been thinking lately. She may get her fingers burnt if she folds her hands and watch Lucy take advantage of Ken, who she now calls a friend. She wants Lucy to end things with him. Lucy would do no such thing because she is yet to achieve her plans from his pocket. Ken started by telling Philip, who had already started making preparations for a divorce, to give his marriage a try for another 2 months since their wedding anniversary was around the time. This time, from a different approach. Philip is a hard nut to crack and wouldn't consent to his idea even after threats pulled by Ken. Rose also had to give a try. She initiated the idea to Madison for a 2-month trial. The plan is to start over again like they have just met instead of trying to fix things. You know, women are most willing to do whatever it takes to make their marriage work again. While men put their ego in front even while it hurts most of them the most. Philip just couldn't sleep but kept reminiscing about the sweet and better days. The lady too wasn't left out here, but what can she do? Philip was supposed to come and apologize for trying to raise his hands on her. 2 wrongs cannot make a right, you know. One has to put down oneself for both to stand strong. Now that they can't do it by themselves, they have to accept what comes. Madison got an unexpected gift which Rose told her was from Philip, but it was not. Even though she pretended like she never wanted it, she loved it. All they needed was just a spark, and their world would be lightened once again. At least she believes that Philip sent those flowers, so what will stop her from not giving a try again? She sent a goodnight text to him that night, and it was like open heavens for him when he saw it. This is the little spark we talk about. Ken was also persistent with his relationship. He loved her so much, but only if he knew what was on the other side. Every man understands the power of intimacy in a relationship. He wanted them to go to his house. Lucy just reminded him to know that her priorities now is her newly found business and how she's still looking for money to fund it. He wanted to know how much is left, and she told him that it is 3 million naira left. This is becoming very uneasy for the dude here. He asked her to share her plans of the new business with him so that he knows where to come in. On hearing this, Lucy angrily left. Ken knew his hot-headed friend better and how to handle him. Acting as if they were quarreling will make Philip bow to his demands. And with help of the text message the previous night, everything looks easier now. Ken still needed to convince him. You shouldn't blame Philip here because most men are like this, which is okay. Both friends also meet secretly to celebrate their little wins on behalf of the couples and their next moves. But every time, Ken keeps bringing Lucy and her demands into the conversation on how Rose can help him win his lover's heart. Rose, as a decent lady, wouldn't escalate Lucy's plans. She only advised him to stop giving her money. Guess what? There is good news. Madison can't wait to tell her friend that Philip also sent a good morning message with apologies. This sounds really positive to everyone now, and the messages kept coming in. Madison feels the warmth in her heart as everything is just going fine. Rose, who happens to be the orchestrator of everything, had to tell her what to do next. They have to go shopping to get the best dress for a date with her husband. Philip, who happens to be a hard nut to crack, happens to be the one putting things together. He can't get his wife off his head now. Ken made him see reasons why he needs to treat this date like the first date. These couples were lucky to have friends like this who saw them as good, perfect eggs, even though they knew that the couples were slightly cracked. Now comes the awaited night, a time to make every imperfection perfect again. He brought a flower, but Madison thinks they are too much since he just bought one recently. Philip could not relate, but it should not ruin the moment. There is a quote that says that there are no secrets that time does not reveal. It's just a matter of time. Rose was wise enough to understand this, and at this point, a woman will always choose the man who is more beneficial to her. Ken happens to be struggling with his financial life, so he lost the race while Rose tried to cover up what Lucy was trying to portray by introducing Ken as her cousin. This wasn't funny to the men, but everyone had to accept what just happened. Rose apologized and tried to make him see reasons that she couldn't escalate her friend's exploits because she is not a snitch. Ken wasn't happy, but was also grateful for making him not spend more after the advice she gave him. Lucy thinks Rose planned all this just to ruin her relationship with Ken. What got her furious the most was that she lost the man she chose over Ken and also lost Ken. It got into an exchange of words and hitting each other that Rose had to tell her to leave her house out of anger. Lucy had to leave when Rose realized that her anger wasn't worth it and tried to apologize, but her apologies were irrelevant to Lucy, who was squatting at the money. You shouldn't expect people with a character of swindling people to be grateful. Rose had no choice than to let her leave. Rose has also been facing her own difficulties. The man she hoped on starting a new life with was already married. She and her man, Murphy, were coming out from a property he wanted to buy for her when a pregnant woman pounced on him. Rose couldn't believe what she saw and had to run for her life when a vlogger took videos of her, and it was all over the media. Aside from the heartbreak, Rose was also all over the internet and labeled a side chick who wants to snatch a pregnant woman's husband. She was still sobbing when Ken came in. He also heard about everything. He wants her to forget what people will say and move on. Philip still craves more of his wife. This time he misses her and wants her to come home. A cozy atmosphere to welcome back his wife would be perfect. Madison was already here, and here we go with a perfect home again. After lunch, he desired to have his wife in their matrimonial bed, and everything went like it was their first time. From all indications, Madison seems to be the problem most times, but Philip also had his own problems, which was using the right words at the right time. He just told her that he was happy that he didn't divorce her. Like he was not supposed to say such a thing at the moment. Madison also never knew that he was already planning a divorce and everything was ruined again. Now, should we say that these couples can't fix up their marriage and private lives? Rose was also already getting tired about everything until Philip showed up. He is the last person she wants to see now. The good thing is that Philip was remorseful and acted matured this time. She promised to talk to her friend on his behalf. Philip kept calling, and with all persistence from Rose, she was still mad at him and wouldn't pick up. Ken was so surprised to see his friend act like a child because of his wife that he never cared about. Ken was also picking interest in Rose. He wanted to know what his friend thinks. Everyone would attest that Rose is a special breed of her kind. Philip just remembered that tomorrow is her birthday. Ken has got the opportunity he wanted. Ken surprised her and also wanted to take her out, but she prefers celebrating it indoors. They had to drink to celebrate the day when something began to change. But most times, decent ladies wouldn't allow it to happen the first time so that you don't see them cheap. Ken understood her and had to respect her decisions. He never knew that she was already craving him and couldn't resist him. Lucy also came to celebrate with her friend when she saw the man she lost because of her in her arms. Rose was defenseless and told her that they had nothing. Ken was not happy with Rose for denying their friendship because of Lucy and had to leave. This is really hurting, like she lost Murphy, Lucy, and now Ken. Then what's the reward of having a good heart? The ball now is back to their court. Philip wouldn't let her slip away from him again. It's time for him to take her home. Madison also has always wished for this day to come, even though she wants to preserve her dignity as a woman. This day marked their 4th wedding anniversary. He promised her this day to be the man that she married. Philip also proposed that seeing a therapist will also help them improve their marriage. This time, he wants to be a man of intention. All thanks to Ken and Rose. Rose thought she already lost Ken also when he came in. He couldn't hide it anymore. He wants Rose to be his girlfriend, and she accepted it without hesitating. You see, we are born into this world. We get names, we get educated, we get values, we get jobs and money. But all this is not life. Life is love found in friendship, friendship found in love, and in love, sacrifice.
Thanks for watching. Please comment your thoughts and also like and share this video for more super amazing videos that we are bringing to you. And if you're watching from our YouTube channel, you can also subscribe and turn on your notification for more. Thank you.